Like we give billions of dollars to foreign aid, in foreign aid to Israel, and yet, like we were talking about healthcare earlier, and we were talking about government programs. It's like they have all that. We're giving them the money. And this is the U.S., so the federal government handing the money over to another country out of our pockets. So systematically, Israel can have everything that we can't have.
To put it kind of in a perspective, as a family man, if my kids are hungry, if they don't have shoes, if they don't have clothes, it doesn't make sense for me to go give my money to another family that doesn't have clothes or doesn't have anything, to leave my family starving and broke. So no, that really doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me in that area. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with helping out other people, but you can't pour water from an empty cup. And I saw that quote somewhere. And it just doesn't make sense. If your people are struggling, you take care of your people first, and then the extra you can help out other people.
Well, they need us over there. They need us involved in Iraq. They need us involved in Afghanistan, in Syria.
They need us over there, but the question is, why? What can we do that they can't? I mean, it just boils down to, I guess, and I hate to say it that way, but to say it bluntly, we gotta keep our nose out of other people's, problems, because number one, because we have enough enemies of our own, and by continuing to police the world, it's like we're creating more and more enemies. And I really don't feel that it should be America's job to police the world the way we're supposedly, doing it now.
The doctrine that said democracy, when it's threatened around the world, America's supposed to step in. There's a justification in some people's minds that are affiliated with the Defense Department that, we need to be in every one of these hot zones, fighting for democracy. But I've been hearing that for over 10 years. Oh, we're fighting for peace. We're fighting for democracy.
In a way, it can be kind of corny to say that, because that's and just looking at things, that's not been the case. It's not all just about helping the people. I mean, we have an interest in, when we go to war, we have an interest in that. We're not just going just for no reason.
We were in Iraq for oil. We're in Afghanistan for oil and lithium. I mean, it's like money is there's a lot of money in colonization, but there's also a lot of greed and hatred and savagery and barbarism.
Yes, I do agree that. I mean, we as humans, we're probably always going to fight each other. So I don't think that we're really ever going to stop fighting each other.
For those that don't understand, out there in the audience, how we view Islam. Some people out there are saying, well, look at ISIS. It's like, well, no. You could say the same thing about America. It's like, well, how we define Christianity? Look at the KKK, right?
Everyone. There are things that are very real to people. Just like schizophrenics, there are things that they see and hear and that are very real. There are people who are crazy who see things that nobody else sees, but to them it's very real. And I think that a lot of religions, and I guess it's not every religion, but there were times in every religion throughout its history that there was some sort of persecution. Whether it was Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, Catholicism, Judaism. If you look in their history, they all went through a period where they went around killing people that did not agree with their doctrine. Live and let live, that's just...
But how does that translate into in a corporate society? It's like live and let live, but the CEO of Chick-fil-A says that, well, I disagree with ISIS, or I disagree with Islam. So, every time a bomb is dropped on, Yemen, and it kills, thousands of little, Muslim girls or, boys, it's like, I'm not going to shed a tear because my faith tells me that faith is wrong. Like people that are out there actually believing that human life is worth sacrificing just because they disagree with you.
Some people, that's just, that's just the world that they grew up in. That's just what they were thrown into. So their minds are just kind of, so brainwashed into thinking, this is right. If I kill a Christian, I'm gonna get rewarded, and they truly believe it. And again, to me, that goes a little bit beyond, I wouldn't say beyond insanity, but it goes into that category of just blindly following something, without really questioning, without really looking into, why am I really doing this? Why am I willing to die just because they don't do what I do? Oh, sorry. Yeah, why would, like I said, these extremists, to me, it does not make sense, why they would, blow themselves up or die just because, or kill somebody just because they don't agree with my beliefs.
Like ultimately, defense spending, especially private defense spending, is very profitable.
Right.
Like I don't know what your pulse is on how that affects the foreign policy.
I think it affects it very much. All these mercs, they're not obligated to follow the rules of engagement the way a U.S. soldier would. So I think it puts kind of an ugly face. Again, I'm not there. I can't tell you they're doing this, they're doing that. But from my understanding, they don't necessarily have to follow the same rules as a U.S. soldier. A lot of corporations, obviously they make money off of war. Prisons are privately run. We buy our weapons. We make our weapons here. We buy them from whoever. We sell them to whoever. So yeah, it is a big money machine. Any war that we get into, we make money off of it. In a nutshell.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts?
Lastly, I guess to kind of touch on that military-industrial complex. To go back to the cannabis, I think that would also help in that area, because if we're making money off of cannabis or other areas, that can kind of steer us away from hey, if we go to war right now, we're standing to make $10 billion over the next 10 years. Instead of that, let's sell a bunch of weed and make some money.
There's just a culture that in ending on this topic, people are not familiar with. I don't think people are familiar with a world, not a world, let's start small, a community that, like Denver, that you walk into a lounge, and you maybe get some food or something like that, come sit on the couch, and then you light up a joint. Like people aren't familiar with that culture.
I really think that we're on the cusp of doing that, going to a cafe and just sitting down, smoking a joint. I think we're close, a lot closer than we were before. I don't know many Texans, that's just me personally, that, go to a coffee shop and smoke a joint. I mean, will we get there? Maybe. I really hope so. I should hope that I could walk down the street and just smoke a joint and relax. I think they'd be good on both sides. Medical, for the obvious reasons that I talked about earlier, and recreation just because it would keep a lot of people out of jail. It would put more money in the Texas economy, and of course, keeping people out of jail, that leaves more room for the more serious criminals. So I think on both ends it would be great.
Victor, I want to thank you for coming on Round Table. I really appreciate you stepping up and willing to put your perspective on Round Table and have a discussion. All right. right, shout out, shout out. Thank you guys for watching Round Table. We'll be right back.